お肉神様お肉神
Peak Fiction, Kino. Oh boy. Peak Fiction, Kino. Oh boy. Hello. Rankings? No. No rankings today. Not at the beginning of the stream. Because we're starting with Attack on Titan. Hello, everyone. I don't think I can say hi to everyone. I don't think I can. And the alerts aren't on. Oh my god. Oh wait, no, they are. Okay, hello. Hello. Welcome in, everyone. I don't think I can say hi to everyone, but I'll get to the alerts. Hello, mods. Hello, we got a couple of first-time chatters. Welcome in. A couple of people I haven't seen in a while, I guess, for the Attack on Titan discussions. Hello, everyone. We got the old Attack on Titan backdrop from last year. Today's Kishimoto's birthday, eh? Damn. Hello. Thank you. Thank you, Temos, for the 4 months. Thank you very much. Power Flare, thank you for the 21 months. Can't stay for the stream. Work craziness and family emergency. I hope everything's okay. I just want to say I'm so in love with the final episode of Attack on Titan. Hope the discussion in Naruto Re goes well. Subs can go towards a mod's choice. Oh, damn. Okay. You got it. Thank you for the 21 months. I hope everything's okay, Power Flare. Thank you so much. Hello, I'm only here for the Attack on Titan discussion, but I hope the entire stream's fun for you and everyone else. I just really want to talk about Attack on Titan because now that it's over, I can officially for myself say it's one of my favorite stories of all time. It's a 10 out of 10. Amen. I totally agree. Okay, I have a lot of things to say about the special. I'll get to it in a sec. Thank you for the 100 bits. Thank you, Alex Gaming Claw, for the follow and the brand new Prime sub. Thank you so much. Bea, thank you for the 100 bits. I hope your mom and you enjoy. So glad you decided to do the stream. Yeah, me too. It's gonna be a bit different than the past Attack on Titan discussions, but I'll get to that in a second. And Time Lord, thank you for gifting out a sub. Thank you so much. Welcome in, everyone. So, today, how's it going, Whites? Hegemon? Tarnished? Wolfie? So today's gonna be, for those of you who have been there for past Attack on Titan discussions, it's not gonna be quite the same, because we already did a whole, like, 4-hour ending discussion stream. So I don't really want to retread the same ground and get into the super nitty-gritty. Of course, we'll talk about the themes and execution and everything. So it's going to be a bit more casual than that. I'm not going to go through every screenshot. I have some. Like, I have some of my favorites. But I don't have it all set up. I don't have the same thing we used to do for all the Attack on Titan discussion streams. Because I imagine this isn't going to be like a 4 to 5 hour stream like that was. In fact, I don't want it to be. I want it to be like half this discussion and half Naruto. Hello, Hannah. I'm so sorry. Yeah, let's just put it here for now. Thank you, Effectsite, for the 7 months. Thank you so much. Pepino, thank you for the 100 bits. Oh my god. No. No, that's okay, Hannah. That's me too. I'll do my best. And yeah, I'm also recovering from a 13-hour stream on Monday. I'm still recovering from it. Yesterday was a nightmare. Although I did manage to finish my Levi video, which is cool. Pepino, thank you for the 100 bits. I showed up in your dreams, but I kept yelling at a weird man in a suit that just stood behind me. Oh. Damn. Well, I hope it was an okay dream. Thank you for the 100 bits. I'm here for the hot takes. I guess I have some, but they're not as hot anymore given the public reception to it, right? People like this. People really like the ending. Regarding Attack on Titan, I just want to say I am an anti-hyper for years until last year when I reread and loved it. Now it's one of my favorite stories ever, and Mikasa is one of my favorite characters ever. That's beautiful. I'm so glad you were able to love it, White. Over the last couple years, I've fallen pretty... Like, I thought Mikasa was good, and now I love her. I think she's amazing.
Fiction, Kino. Oh, boy.
It was great, Lies. It was 13 hours. So, the VOD's there if you'd like. I had to cut it down for YouTube, because YouTube doesn't accept 12-hour plus streams. Oh, this song. God. Anyway, how's it going, Kaigu? Nasty Ninja. I haven't seen the finale, so I don't have much input this stream. I heard a lot of great things about it, so I hope it clears up some issues I have with the manga's ending, but I'll be watching it once fan reception kind of cools down. Cool. Awesome. I hope you enjoy it, Trish. Thank you, C Loud, for the 3-month resub and the 100 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bea, for the 100 bits. I hope Armin and Eren are having fun kissing in hell. There was some emotion. There were some shots of Armin and Eren. And I'm just saying, they were quite intimate. Hey, Silence. Okay, so my thoughts... I'll give you my thoughts on the finale. I posted them on Twitter, but I'll give my thoughts, and then you guys can give yours, or you can give it while I'm talking if you want. They know what they are, yeah. Basically, I adored it. My girlfriend thought they were gonna kiss. Very understandable. I did too. I thought that was one of the best. Probably, I really think it's my favorite adaptation in the whole series. I think it is. I can't... I have trouble thinking of anything that's equal to it, or that did it as well with... It adapted things so beautifully, visually beautifully, with the music, the sound design, the pacing, and the changes they made, and I didn't have any problems with it, really. There are some things that could have been done maybe a bit better, but I basically had problems with every other season, except for kinda 2, but 2 didn't hit the heights of this. Oh, if the Haikyuu adaptation's like 3/4 as good, we are cooking so hard. Yeah, I thought the first special was my favorite part of the adaptation, and then I watched this. Attack on Titan Season 2, in my opinion? I just struggled to think of what Season 2 did that's better than this. I don't have a Spotify playlist, Baby the King. In terms of an adaptation, I'm not talking about the narrative content. I'm talking about the adaptation. But it was beautiful. It took chapters that I was not as a huge fan of and made them so engaging. I couldn't believe what I was watching. We'll get into the specifics in a bit, but the color design, like I said, the soundtrack, some of the songs composed for this are amazing. The voice acting, oh my god, Marina Inoue. Holy shit, I could not believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe how close I felt to Armin in experiencing this. Oh shit, whoops. Armin was the best character in the finale for me. And that isn't because the characters were not done well. Every significant character was done beautifully. Eren, Levi, Mikasa, Zeke. Everyone. There were no disappointments at all. But Armin just went above and beyond. It was incredible. Incredible. Let me know if Peak was the best character in the ending. Peak had some cool stuff. Oh, I want to talk about one Peak bit. And yeah, so... And then there were some additional dialogue choices. So I saw some people saying it was really bad on Twitter. For me, the additional dialogue changes and little alterations were varied from fine and fitting and it made sense to amazing. The one addition that I was just like, was I'm a slave to freedom. I think that's a bit too blunt. And I really like the idea that you parse that out from the ending. You parse that out yourself. It's kind of like a challenge, you know? I think Peak's raw moment was a lot better in the manga. By Peak's raw moment, do you mean her stumbling out of the Titan and then continuously... I've got a ton of endurance sort of thing, Andres? Yeah, the I'm just an idiot line. Yeah, I thought that was, like... I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, that's Eren. That's Eren. That's fitting for Eren, it's fitting for the series. I don't think it was great, like, I didn't love it, but I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Honestly, Andres, I can't tell... I can't tell why you think the manga was way better for that. I thought that was so good. Hello, Raph. I have that hole in my heart as well. It's not inaccurate, but I think people will take it away and sweep away a lot of the context. But is that a problem with the story? Because people are going to do that regardless. People are going to do that with... people did that with lines in the manga. People did that with, thank you for becoming a mass murderer for our sake. People are going to take incorrect things away from it regardless from that sort of ending. I don't think that's a fault of the writing. I don't think you can ever do anything perfectly when it comes to a situation like this. I disagree, Andres. I don't think it was better than the manga, but I loved it. No, the art direction... No, we'll talk about the art direction. I mean, look at this. Look. Oh, this is the... Instead of Eren saying he's a slave to freedom, I wish the blunt line was Mikasa say she killed the one she loved to Ymir. I would have... To me, that would have felt the same. So yeah, the only line I was just like, I could have done without that, was the slave to freedom line. And yeah, so I guess that's my tiny criticism, I guess, if you can call it that, a nitpick rather. And like Safwa says, there were some character models that were ugly. I don't know what Erwin did to these people in their past lives. Why is he so ugly in this? He was so ugly. Erwin, do you know that one scene of him just... So you hated it, yeah? What? Hated what? I don't hate anything. How does anyone in the world think I hate anything fictional? How? Hannah didn't like some of the noses. No, Erwin was done so dirty. Erwin's... I think if you just cut off the mouth, it was fine. But his mouth was just... His mouth was Jozu. My Jozu emote. Where is it? Where's... Literally, the Jozu emote was Erwin. That was ping pong the animation, Hannah. I couldn't spoil you. Also, Twitch just mutes it. And he lost his arm for the sake of new era. Oh my god. Erwin Shaw was tired or something. Yeah, so some of the character models looked not great. Erwin specifically. I think a couple of Eren didn't look... They looked kind of off. They've always had trouble with Eren. A couple of the noses. There was something else, maybe. Isn't being like Jozu a compliment? I guess so. You know what? It comes around on itself. In the Blu-ray disc, they changed Mikasa's face in 407, so I'm hoping they correct that Erwin mouth in the Blu-ray disc to target decent sales. Well, half Eldian, I don't think changing Erwin's mouth's gonna... Unfortunately, I don't think changing Erwin's mouth is gonna change much in terms of the Blu-ray disc sales. But who knows? Who knows? No, like, the Erwin mouth, I don't imagine that's an error. Like, it was just... It felt intentional. For some reason. It's not like the production was melting or anything, so I think it was just a bad illustration that was intentional. But maybe they'll look at fan reception and be like, yeah, that was kind of bad. The final Sasha looked a bit, didn't look totally on point. I can see that. Something about her smile. Yeah, I can kind of see that. So yeah, the music, and one more thing. My other minor problem with the adaptation, which it honestly wasn't a problem, but I do think that the song that played with the Armin Zeke scene in 137, I think it was fine, but it could have been better. I think the tone they were going for was different from how I envisioned in my mind. It was that sort of low-key piano track, and it was a bit too like. It wasn't sort of melancholically uplifting enough for me, for it to be a great choice. I still love the scene. But I think it could have been an all-time scene with better OST choice. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. Now, it changed into Barakestra, which I adored. I adored Barakestra. Friendships, I was imagining friendships would have been good with that scene. Hey, Afianma. Final anime final season or manga section? I like the anime better, overall. I think I liked 137 better in the manga, 138 better in the anime, and 139 better in the anime, overall. Thank you, Gojo, for the 2 months. Thank you very much. Attack on Titan, best anime of the decade?
Peak Fiction.
Amen.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, Super Monoman, for the 200 bits. I love that Link Horizon is back. The group doing the first opening and the first of the last song of the show feels really full circle. I love that they came back. What's the name of the track? I don't remember, Andres. I don't remember. It was a piano. They've used it before in the series. Oh, and 135, 136 were so much better in the anime, in my opinion. Honestly, in the manga. Okay, I'll get to it. But sorry, I forgot. I didn't mention 135, 136. I agree with Critty. 135, 136 were phenomenally adapted, I think. And they were better in the anime. 137 I like better in the manga. It was very Yamada Vidland Saga. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I prefer the drawings and art of the manga overall, but the voice acting. Yeah, for Armin. I was talking with Hannah about this. I think Armin's my second favorite character now. Answer my question, Alex. Did you cry at any point? Why are you yelling at me? Who's number one? Eren. Eren is shaking in his boots, and I'm shaking in my boots. Eren safely won. Yeah, Eren safely won for me, but during the thing, I'm like, oh, I think I like Armin better than Levi. Oh shit, do I like Armin more than Erevin? Yeah. To answer the question, I cried multiple times throughout this. I will mention them. I cried multiple times throughout it. Then I was going through the special again. I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow with my mom. So I'm probably gonna cry during that too. And I was watching scenes again because I was putting it into my Levi video, and I cried again. I cried again. What part is the crier? I'll go through them. Right, Maz? I have not seen the New York Times interview with Isayama, no. Will I be uploading the VOD? I won't be able to stay through the whole discussion. This VOD's gonna stay up for 2 months. I know everyone can love and appreciate great music, but for me, my love of music in the shows I watch usually goes beyond that, with me becoming obsessed with music and shows because of how music really helps me become more invested. I love how I was used in the special, and how the songs were thematically connected to the stories and characters. And the lyrics, yeah. No, I totally agree, Super Mona Man. Some streams ago, someone asked you the top five of biggest frauds in fiction. Does Eren fit into the mold? Eren was a LARPer, but I don't know if he was a fraud. Hey, Spirit Noodle. Some people in Attack on Titan group chats I'm in think that having Zeke or Reiner top 3 is a bad take, which is a bizarre perspective to have. I think it's, yeah, I think that's a totally valid take. It's not one I agree with, but I think that Attack on Titan's top 7 or 8, any order for them is phenomenal, or even their Attack on Titan's top 9 or 10. Yeah, Eren's a LARPer. Chad Eren, throughout all of Season 4, so Marley into War for Parity, is LARPing. I mean, it's not that that's not part of his character, but he's playing it up for a bunch of reasons. It's still connected to his character, but it's sort of indirectly connected. It's a complex sort of situation, but he's definitely LARPing. And he's cringe as hell. Okay, so I think that's all I want to say about it generally. Shall we go, like, sort of chronologically? Because... oh, man. Let's have a... oh, man. Yeah, let's go chronologically. Let me know the definitive upper echelon of Attack on Titan's cast. Okay, you guys want to know my top... oh, you guys want my, like, top 15? Because I have it. I have it in my mind. Before we properly go into it chronologically. And yes, guys, I see you guys asking questions about specific scenes. We'll go chronologically, and you can ask me about them then. Like, the Zeke scene, you can ask me about when we get to it. All that stuff. Okay, I'll give you my top 15. The scene where he's in the prison cell and talking to himself, and then Hanji makes fun of him for changing his hair like he's trying to change his image, and Eren yells at her because he feels called out. Yeah, that was very, very classic Eren, you know? Harder in channel points? Oh, I probably not. Probably not. I can... okay, I'll do one channel points bet. I'll do one channel points bet. How about? I think I'll do it for 5 and 6. Me and Hannah were a shambles. We were a shambles after it. Okay, so I need to go... I was going to go top bottom, but I'll go bottom top. Okay. Okay. I'll do my top 16. Okay, number 16, Bertolt. Number 15, Shadis. Number 14, Ymir, Freckles. Number 13, Falco. Number 12, Hanji. Number 11, Gabby. Oh, just outside Trish, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then into the top 10. So 9 and 10, 9 and 10's interchangeable, basically. But I'll do it like this for now. Moz is one of my favorite casts of all time. 12 is still amazing character territory. Sasha's dad, number 1 in my heart. Number 10, Mikasa. but it's very interchangeable with number 9, who is Flock. Mikasa and Flock 9 or 10. If I had to, I'd put Flock 9, Mikasa 10, but it doesn't really matter. Mikasa's 10, I love her. Flock's 10, Flock's 9, he is just the perfect antagonistic character for this, for the later stretch of the story. Flock is unbelievable. Historia is not one of my favorite characters in Attack on Titan. Shuffle. I love Flock so much. That grin. No, Annie, no. I've never been a huge Annie fan. I think she's a good character. And Carl Fritz is probably top 20. So, number 8, Jean? The thing with Annie is, I was like, maybe it'll click for me with Annie. It didn't click for me with Annie, just like Hannah said. But there were moments with Annie, especially in the first chapter, that made me so emotional. Her hugging Reiner in the first chapter. Jean not top 5 is outrageous. You're outrageous. That's your first chat? Cry more. Annie and Reiner hugging, and Annie waving goodbye to Armin and all of them, those two made me so emotional. Which I loved, because I never felt that way about her, really. But I've never really got her, really. Or I think I got her, I just didn't really connect with me. Oh, the stuff with the, what's it called? Okapi? That was so funny. Anyways, number 8 is Jean. Number 7 is Grisha. And then we'll do one vote for 5 and 6. Grisha's 7. So this one you're voting for which is number 5. And the two choices are Zeke and Reiner. So Zeke and Reiner are 5 and 6 in some way. Grisha or Jing as... Oh, that's a tough one. Ooh, the thing is, I'm writing about Jing right now, and my mind is being blown with how good he is. But Grisha's more fundamental to the plot and mythos. Grisha's VA, one of the best performances for sure. Bad dad ranking video when? Grisha's 7. Grisha's 7. I think Jing. I think Jing's a slightly better character than Grisha for me. I have a small tier list of mysterious anime dads if you want to take 2 minutes to do it. Maybe towards the end, Pretty. Like when we're towards the end, right before Naruto. Remind me and I'd be down to do it. Okay, the answer is... How did this go? 62% say Zeke, 38% say Reiner, 62% are correct. Zeke is my number 5, Reiner's number 6. Easy points. Me too, Sarah. Exactly the same for me. Enjoy your points. Whoever got it right. So yeah, Reiner 6, Zeke 5, Levi 4, probably Erwin 3, Armin 2, Eren 1. I think that's it. I thought number 5 was the lower of the two. No, my bad. I could have clarified. Attack on Titan cast or Hunter x Hunter cast? Asks Hannah. Hunter x Hunter cast. Hunter x Hunter is in my Mount Rushmore of casts. Attack on Titan is like Hunter x Hunter is one of my top 4 casts of all time. Attack on Titan is one of my 5 to 7 or 8 casts of all time. My top 5 is in order. Let's just do my top 10. Mikasa 10, Flock 9, Jean 8, Grisha 7, Reiner 6, Zeke 5, Levi 4, Erwin 3, Armin 2, Eren 1. Attack on Titan is somewhere between my top 5 to 7 or 8 favorite casts. Where do I place Trost in my rankings? Towards the bottom, but I still love it. I think Attack on Titan just generally gets better as it goes on. We'll sit down and figure it out, Hannah. Would you say Eren is the best character between Attack on Titan and Hunter x Hunter? As of my last protagonist ranking, I would not. I would not. As of my last protagonist ranking, Gon was slightly ahead of him. But, who knows now? Rate a character dynamic, Levi and Zeke? S? I think S. It's kind of carried a little bit by what it means for Levi and his promise and the fulfillment or lack thereof associated with it. Any idea where Peak would fall in the ranking? 25-ish? 25 to 30-ish? Something like that. And then EMA or the Jaegers, Eren, Grisha, Zeke. Oh, man. Oh, God. Last year I would have answered the Jaegers. I think EMA now, though. As a dynamic, yeah. I think EMA now. So the top 16 would be the upper echelon in Attack on Titan. Nah. Like the top 13? 12, 13? EMA is Eren, Mikasa, Armin. Sorry. One last thing before we go chronologically. I have had problems with 139 throughout since it came out. I have 4 problems, a lot of which have been mitigated over time or because of the adaptation. One of them is I don't like what happens with Historia post-time skip. I just think so many characters get really interesting and awesome resolutions and fulfilling and gratifying conclusions, and I just think Historia was kind of sidelined. I'm not a fan of what happens with her character. Prior, she could have been a pretty high-tier character if I think she just got more focus or more... It feels like she didn't have as much thought put into her. It's not a huge problem, but I'm just like, oh, that's too bad. So that was one of them. That hasn't changed. That hasn't changed with the adaptation. I don't think anything really changed with regards to Historia. The other one was the Reiner letter sniff. Listen, I love the thought behind it. I think the execution in the manga, specifically, no. I didn't like it. But, can I just say, it wasn't that bad in the anime. What, right? Am I right? Am I wrong? It really wasn't that bad. Like, he just, in the manga, he was all up in there and his face was like, bro. But in the anime, he just goes like, it's very low key, and I was very happy about that. I wanted it to be cut, But if it was not cut, like, that's the best they could have done with it. So I'm like, hey, we'll take it. It definitely got better. It's more understated. But who does that? Reiner. This is my thoughts on the letter sniff. I love the idea that we are now in a period of time where, after all his suffering, Reiner can be silly. I love that idea so much. But it's just so jarring and immersion-breaking and weird to see him, and creepy to see him do that, that it just, like, takes me out of it. And it's his last scene. It's his last scene that lingers on him. So I just never liked it. But in the anime, it was quite a bit better. So that was mitigated a bit. I don't know if I fully understood why they put her scenes in the finale where they do, and if I understood that a bit better, maybe I'd feel differently. I think I got a handle on why they put her scenes there. I just think it rings a little hollow because she just hasn't been present, really. She hasn't been prominent. She hasn't been even... She's just so underlying. It all makes sense, but it just doesn't feel super substantial for me. Yeah, and the anime was fine.
Peak fiction, Kino. Oh boy.
And that's true. He used Historia to cope with his mental collapse. Obviously, his scene with his mother is his real final scene, but the letter being his actual one never sat well with me. I agree, yeah. Do I like Historia's monologue more in the anime? Was the dialogue significantly changed? I didn't notice any huge differences, but I liked it roughly the same. Oh. That's interesting, Tarnished. Am I looking too much into it, or was Jean trying to imitate Eren's hairstyle on their way back to parody? That's a can of worms. I don't think that's... I think that's definitely a valid interpretation. Okay, my other problems were... I just don't like the Jean and Connie fake-out death. I think it's just the most gutting, tragic, perfect death for both of them. Arm in arm, comrades, as Titans, yes. Sorry, fake-out Titan thing. I don't know, it undercuts to me what is a great scene. Even though it doesn't undercut everything, but it dilutes the moment for me, so I've never liked it. I made as much peace with that decision as I can, but I'm still not a fan. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I mean, they did become Titans. I didn't mind it. I know. Like I said, I know they become Titans. It just makes them... I don't know. I can't really articulate... I'm not going to say that's a flaw. Like, I think the Historia thing is a straight-up flaw.
Peak fiction.
I'm not going to say that the Jean Connie thing is. Because I just don't like it. I don't like it. It makes it feel turbulent, and the fulfillment isn't super there for me. But that's something I didn't like as much. I've made as much peace with it as I can, like Safa said. I think in the anime they added a line where Historia says that the world is the consequences of everyone's choices, which is a callback to Uprising. Oh, that's cool. I noticed the callback, I just didn't remember if that was in the manga. Sorry, I'll read the alerts in a bit. And the last one was... So there's a page in the manga where everyone remembers their talks with Eren. It's where the infamous "the man you are" translation came from. Why is everyone I-meaning me? Stop I-meaning me. I know you guys are fine with it. I get it. If the story ended without the curse of Ymir being lifted, that would be bad, and if Connie and Jean were killed in Titan form immediately before all Titans revert back to humans, that would also be bad. Yes. That doesn't mean that what happened is amazing. I want to see Levi and Eren's convo so bad. Good God, man. I don't remember the man you are, what was it? It was Reiner's line. So the page where all of them are, like, crying about Eren and, like, oh, you suicidal maniac, you blockhead, think about yourself and all that stuff. That line has, that page has always been something I don't like a ton, because it felt a bit too overly romantic for Eren. But then I realized that, like a couple weeks ago, that it's their perception of Eren, which is not the full story. I think, actually, Alex tweeted this yesterday or today. Armin knew the true Eren. Armin learned what Eren... That, yes, he cared for his friends, and he did it partly for them, but he also did it because he wanted to. And Armin knows that, and that's the true essence of Eren's character. And Reiner and Annie and Connie and Jean saying that about him is just their perception, which is only one part of the story. And I've never liked Peak's sentence either, but that makes it a lot better. And I would have been down with a bit more of a conversation with Eren and Reiner, but that's always how these conclusions go. Yeah, the proper line was, you really are a half piece of shit, the implication of that. What happened with Jean and Connie reminded me of my issue with Genkai and Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, it's more of an issue for me in Yu Yu Hakusho. It's more of an issue with Yu Yu Hakusho for me. But I agree. Anyways, okay, so yeah, anyways, let's go chronologically now. So, Battle of Heaven and Earth. When I read the manga, 135, 136, those chapters did not flow super well for me. I don't know, maybe it was just because I wasn't really great at, I still couldn't really immerse myself in manga that well. But I found it kind of hard to follow. It didn't flow super well for me. Whereas then I'd go and read, like, Berserk or Haikyuu or something, and it would feel like it flowed better. So I'd just be like, it doesn't really work super well. The anime killed it. The anime killed 135 and 136. I was shocked at how engaged I was with all the action, at how well it was animated, how well it flowed. The OST choices made everything feel so weighty. The voice acting throughout was so good. There's that one segment. There's that one segment where time sort of stops in the cage, and Jean is reaching out to Reiner, and Connie has got a wounded Levi, and Mikasa's looking at everything, and Peak is impaled, and that just moved me so much. That was like the first time I teared up in the special. That was amazing. The lighting was so good. So I really love the sequence, the whole sequence. I connected to it way more in the anime, way more. I was so engaged. Annie said, mind your own business and say it in mine, which I think says something about Annie's gratitude at being able to live her life as a human, but also feeling guilt at being used as fuel for Eren's motivation without ever asking to be involved. That's the official translation, eh? That's one of the better lines. Wait, does she say that? I just read this recently, and I thought she said something different, but I'll take your word for it. One of the Warhammers was just a dog, yeah. So I love 135, 136. I love the bit with Peak running out and then just continuously shifting. I love that whole section. I really liked it. It was beautifully animated throughout. Sorry, Supermoon Man, thank you for the 300 bits. The ending is so satisfying for me personally. I love how everyone had a great role to play in this final battle, constantly defending and working together really well. But especially Reiner was fighting so hard against the past generation of Titans. Ymir summoning the Titans. I know some people don't like that. Made the fight more difficult and dynamic. The designs are wild. I felt how dire things were getting once Bertolt was summoned, especially with how it kept getting worse, thinking the minds of those titans were still in there, unable to stop themselves, is disturbing. That's always been one of the most disturbing thoughts about the series. She says, worry about yourself, but the phrase is more commonly used as a way to say, stop meddling in my business. Well, that's better. That's definitely better. I love the way Falco comes in the flying form. Seeing Reiner, Jean, and Mikasa Ani working together makes me smile and cry at the same time. I didn't know I needed a conversation between Zeke and Armin so much until I got it. Just extreme nihilism talking to extreme hope. With the super intriguing and interesting philosophical conversation was so good. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Pretty soon, actually. Thank you so much, Supermoon Man. So yeah, that was the first time I really teared up in the special. I saw the video of the voice actors crying. Peak mention? I love how much you love Peak, Trish. Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat throughout the whole thing. What do you think about haters saying Armin is Naruto as an insult? I mean, I think you've watched my Naruto stream, so I think you know. It's not an insult. It's actually, both of them are amazing characters. Both of them are two of my favorite characters of all time, probably. So that whole section was great. It was amazing. Let's switch to another backdrop. Oh, these are the wallpapers that I saw on Twitter. We'll do this one for now. We'll do this one for now. No, actually, we'll do this one. So then throughout all of this, we have the scene of Armin sort of isolated, looking at his body, screaming at himself, hating himself for being so weak, and he's like, everyone gave up everything for you, is referring to all the belief everyone puts in him, and choosing him over Erwin, and all of that. And I was actually, like, unbelievably moved by that. I couldn't believe how emotional that was. And so much of it comes down to the overall direction, but Marina Inoue. The screams, the cries, pounding the ground. That was one of the most emotional scenes in any anime I've ever seen. It was, I think it's the most I felt for Armin, and I've loved him. But I just went like, holy shit. I couldn't believe how good that was. I couldn't believe it. I just love him so much. It was so good. And yeah, the transition from that into the rumbling scenes, because what they do is they take chapter 134, right? They take chapter 134, and they take it, they put, to start off the movie, quote unquote, with the battle of heaven and earth. But then when things are looking really, this is just classic, really good dramatic adaptation, dramatic writing, because they replace it, and when things are looking at their most desperate, and when Armin is in this huge valley, and he thinks that things might be over, and he's cursing his weakness, it shifts to the rumbling in 134. And that scene, let me try to find it. Do I have it here? Oh, I have this wallpaper here. Let's see. Do I have it? Nah, no, not really. Okay, I'll show this one. It's not ideal, but this scene, this is a wallpaper I saw on Twitter about it, with using putting the baby in color. Putting the baby in color, putting everything else... Schindler's List vibes, yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that. Putting the baby in color, putting everything else in black and white, the mother and the baby, and the mother plummeting to her death, passing the baby on to, like, this is, I'm just rehashing what happened in the plot, but the baby being in color and being this embodiment of the idea, just, how do you put this? Attack on Titan, in general, is one of the most hopeful stories in the world to me, because in the face of literally apocalyptic times, cataclysm, mass death and violence, everyone just has that little bit of hope. Because through all the muck, through all the rot and decay and everything, everyone just sees a little bit of hope, and that little glimmer is all they need to keep moving forward. That little bit of a hope, of promise, between connection between people who you wouldn't have been able to believe would have that sort of connection. Kenny and Uri is a summation of that. The Alliance in general is a summation of all that. This scene is an encapsulation of that. Everyone is dying, but in the face of death, they are trying to get the children out of the forest, metaphorically. Just passing the baby along to make sure it doesn't fall off the cliff. It is just... To me, that is such a summation of Isayama's thoughts on humanity and war and hope in Attack on Titan in general. And I love it in the manga. It felt like an unadaptable scene. It felt like it. But the way they did it was so beautiful. The music and the color and the way they cut in between that and the other devastating bits of imagery. Gabby and Falco planting trees, yeah, that was amazing. Just phenomenal. Yeah, there was like bits of scenery. Hey, Darkseid, how are you? Oh god. Yeah, and the baby was Yuki Kaji's baby. We are talking AOT. So yeah. And then when we get to 137, I kind of talked about it already. That is one of my favorite chapters in the series, and I think I'd like it better in the manga. I don't think it was badly adapted, but just like, the music choice could have been better. Cutting to Barakestra was great. I really love the cut to Barakestra. The music before that I think could have been better. No worries, Darkseid. I hope you enjoy it whenever you get to it. We'll be doing Naruto a bit later. Post timeskip Armin and his constant self-doubt and hate culminating in that scene is something I've come to appreciate a lot more. Post timeskip, in a lot of ways, are some of the characters being forced to face parts of themselves they can never fully make peace with earlier on, and how for Armin that's simultaneously his self-hate and childlike ability to connect and have hope, and it's so beautiful to see it all culminate here. Yeah, it's... I think that scene is where I began to love... That scene is where I fell in love with Armin in the manga when I read it. See ya, Darkseid. It's a beautiful culmination of who he is, and the idea, Zeke's idea, the hell conversation. That's later, Blood Boy. We're going in order. I've seen so many takes these days. I have something to say about that Dragon Chronicler. Hopefully, I remember in a bit. I love the Mikasa wing scene. I thought it was great. Armin's survivor's guilt post-Erwin is very similar to the guilt he felt always being saved and protected by Eren and Mikasa, cursing his own weakness. It just compounds on itself, right? Armin has always struggled with that, even in Season 1, when he has to go and do that speech to save Eren right after he transforms for the first time. He fights. He internally fights with his feelings of perceived inadequacy constantly throughout the series. And that's something that follows him till the very end. But I feel like him kind of quote-unquote getting over it. That's a simplified version of communicating that. With Zeke, someone totally opposite to him in so many ways. Them just talking here, and him talk no jutsuing it up by being this. Obviously, Armin is intelligent. He's tactically astute. He's a great leader in a lot of the intangible ways. But his empathy has always been his greatest trait. His empathy and his idealism. And Zeke is someone who's just never been able to, for one reason or another, never been able to properly buy into that sort of idea. The idea of multiplying and the disillusionment he found with it in comparison to the Eldian plight, leading to the complete opposite, just elimination. His inability to understand Eren post-time skip is something that caused him a lot of personal grief. That as well. Like, I thought I knew Eren better than anyone. He tells Annie this. I thought I knew Eren better than anyone, but now, I don't know. So him talking with Zeke there, I've always loved that decision. And he tells Zeke that it's not necessarily the point of life is to multiply. It is, in the face of all this doom and destruction and everything, just like what we were talking about a few minutes ago, it is the little moments, the accumulation of little moments of joy or fulfillment or gratification. Those are the things that make it worth it. Those little moments of beauty. For Armin, a leaf. And I love how he shows it to Zeke. And for Zeke, it is a baseball. And it all sort of clicks for him that his line, I'm paraphrasing, but the idea of him accepting the idea of being born again, despite being so fervently against it for years, if it meant that he could play catch with him again, with Cassava again, that is one of my favorite lines in the whole series. Eren and Zeke came up with opposite solutions to their lifelong struggle of seeing the good in this world, yeah. And Eren and Armin have not the same dynamic, but a similar divergence when it comes to the world outside the walls. And if you're lucky, you'll remember the little moments like this that were good. Yeah, we were mentioning that earlier, Aether Dragon. That's one of my favorite lines. Literally, the go live notification for this stream is "What a beautiful day it is," referencing "What a beautiful day if only I'd seen it sooner." That line just nailed in Zeke as an all-time character antagonist. It was the perfect conclusion for Zeke. And I always imagine the adaptation being him emerging from the Titan, just taking a deep breath and saying, "Oh, what a beautiful day it is." And the theme, I imagine a very specific OST choice, but Barricester was beautiful for it too. And contrasting that fulfillment, that gratification he feels right at the end of his life, almost taking it with a smile, with Levi just cutting him down because it was a promise. Not because it's gratifying or fulfilling or anything, but because it was a promise. And you don't see any fulfillment in Levi's face. Anyways, I'm rambling on something different. Where am I? I want to read something from Critty. Talk no Jutsu as a negative thing tends to be wild to me because I unironically love that kind of stuff. Of course, it can be done not well, but like the idea that it's inherently cringy or something couldn't be me. Yeah, I love it. It's actually one of my favorite things about... We're not in Naruto right now, but it's one of my favorite things about it. How dare you, Natty? Yeah, I agree, Safa. I think the background art could have been a bit more impactful. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the weather was downright lovely. It's fine. I like it better than the manga. Eren fakes agreeing with Zeke's perspective when he says there's no greater salvation than not being born into this world, but because Eren's fundamental belief is that it can't possibly be wrong for someone to simply be born, he comes away with the opposite answer to Zeke and Karl Fritz, despite all of them experiencing the same despair at how full of pain the world is. Yes, and it's key that that's the one wrinkle there. It's the one wrinkle in his fundamental psychology so deeply rooted that completely makes him diverge and go another direction. That's so interesting, if you think about their dynamic. Also, hello, Holly. You said hello and I didn't say hello. Eren's command was to kill the Beast Titan, but at the time Levi gets to kill him, Zeke is not the same Zeke he was ordered to kill. He even called out his own death. Levi can't even take satisfaction from that. I have loved that since the moment it happened. The fact that he isn't fulfilled by that, but he just had to do it. Back then they were saying it was wrong for Levi to let Annie live, but somehow not let Zeke slide, which is completely ignoring why the Marley Titans were even doing it. Who's they? At the end of his life, with the world ending around him, he can still appreciate the beautiful weather. Ew, that is, yes, that is so, oh, that is so beautiful. Oh, ending hate, I see. My God, that is just... Zeke has one of the best character conclusions in the whole series. Without a doubt. Everything's ending. Fear all around you. Fear that he just talked about in Paths with Armin. And he can take a deep breath and appreciate the weather. The beautiful day. My God, what a character. Effect site, yeah, I can't think of a proper spot for Eren and Levi outside of showing a bit of his interaction with him in Paths. But then at that point, if you do it with Levi, you have to do it with Reiner, in my opinion. So I get it for the pacing. I get it for the sake of pacing. It really is gritty. I low-key think the Karl Fritz, Zeke, Eren dynamic is almost as good as Grisha, Zeke, Eren. And that's not me dismissing Grisha, Zeke, Eren. That's one of my favorite in the whole series. I just think the Karl Fritz and how it connects to Zeke and how it connects to Eren is really fascinating. Okay, so that was 137. The Titans come back. Seeing Cassava and Bertels not being able to talk was extremely painful. But Barakestra playing and all that, it was a great sort of call to action. It was a great ascent. Me too, Clouded by Ash. That's awesome, Archidon. Zeke is a slow cooker. Hello, Reindeer. How are you? Oh yeah, the Lord Duck Senpai. The way the idea of that miracle connects to Kenny and Uri, and that chapter's called Friends, I believe. It's so beautiful. That chapter echoes forward in the series, and it's no wonder. I think it's Isayama's favorite chapter. If not his favorite, it's one of them. We are having a good discussion, Rainder. Hope you're having a great day so far.
Oh boy.
Not sure if this is a valid take, but I always saw him taking so long to kill the beast and questioning that, in a way, is Levi's inability to fully let go of Erevin. Oh,
Fiction.
that's the one thing he feels that he has left with him, which is why he finally sends him off in 139, probably subconsciously as well. That's a great take, Safwa. Bystander and Friends. 71. Okay. Bystander. Okay. I mixed it up. I think that's a great take, Safwa. I honestly wish I had thought of that independently. Like, I thought of that myself and put it into the video I made about Levi. Because I love that. I love that idea. I don't think, like you said, I'm not sure if this is a valid take. I love that. I think that's super good. My bad. There's nothing to apologize for. I wouldn't have come to it independently, I don't think. That's so cool. That's a great take. So not only is it not fulfilling, but he didn't want to because it was his way of holding on. Me too, Andres. I do as well. Oh, we talked about it a bit earlier, Darky. I thought the line was very on point. I liked it. 71 is the best chapter in the series. Is so real, especially since that chapter where we see Grish's return after the events of 121 is also recontextualized by 139. Yeah, it's amazing on its own, and then it gets built upon the further you go. 71 is his favorite, followed by 69. Okay. Man. The core of the series right there. And then the whole Armin stuff about running to that tree, right? I don't have anything to add to that. Oh yeah, Attack on Titan it's very funny when I see people say that it's nihilistic. Because to me, it's hard, it's difficult to find a series that is less nihilistic than Attack on Titan. It's hard. It is one of the most hopeful stories, to me. One of the most idealistic stories. To see all the misery that's around, to see this hellscape of a world, and to be able to hope regardless it is, I don't know, it's beyond words. One second, let me just close the window, one sec. Okay, we're cooking. Reminds me of Monster? Yeah, I see what you mean. How do you view the epilogue, then? It seems like it implies the circle of hatred will start up again at that tree. I totally disagree with that interpretation. Remind me when we get to the end, because we're at 138 now. But I don't think that's the case at all. I think the epilogue is one of the most hopeful parts about the series. And I think it all connects very cohesively. Just remind me when we get there. Okay, so that's 137. Then we have 138, which is just pure devastation. It's crazy, because the moment we get to 138, it really feels as though how much do you think Eren matters in the story in regards to the theme of hope? It's an interesting question. I think Eren is one of the three most important characters with regards to the theme of hope. So when we get to 138, what do you mean specifically, Andres? I think it's fine. Oh yeah, one last thing with 137 that I think they could have done better, which Mandela kind of alludes to. I would have liked more of a close-up on Levi's face to really nail home, because his expression, I wish I had a link to the manga panel. His expression in the manga, he is just, there's not a single pixel or not a bit of ink that feels satisfied. And I love it. I think we should have had... We had a bit of a close-up for like a second or two. I would have wanted them to linger more on that. Do you think it's kind of random or goofy, or do you think it's very fitting to have it as an element? Neither really. I don't think it's very fitting. I'm not going to say that it totally integrates as much as like, the most integrative elements of the story. But it's fine. It's fine. I don't really feel strongly one way or another. Is this it? This. Look at that. Yeah, they didn't replicate this expression. So that's a shame. There's this sort of hope, yeah, that sort of forlorn look. It looks like he's lost, and it feels like that's how it goes. Yeah, it's more forlorn and like, what now? Here. In the anime, it's a bit different. So that's a good point. I like this better in the manga. I feel like they completely ignored that bit in the anime. It looked like just another cool Levi scene, probably the only thing I dislike a lot. I don't dislike it a lot. I think everything hit as it should have in the anime. But I do think it could have lingered a bit, and I think the expression could have been different. Thank you for sending that, Struggler. The second shot in the anime? Yeah, I wish I had it on me. I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt for that, Tarnished, and say that it was probably pretty similar, but I think not lingering was a mistake. I've watched the special once. I'm going to watch it a second time tomorrow. Thank you for the 100 bits, C Loud, by the way. And thank you, Super Monoman, for the 100 bits. Yeah, the baby moment is one of those moments that feels like an incredible adaptation, even if you haven't read the manga. Amazing stuff. I like that after they blow off the worm from Eren, that it starts writhing around, trying not to die, and in the process multiplying by turning everyone into titans, just like Zeke was talking about. Ah, the fear of death and the desire to procreate are essential drives of all life, and the worm is the source of all life, so it becomes a physical manifestation of that drive. That is layered with irony. Critty, it's almost like Attack on Titan is a series Critty thinks about a lot. It starts writhing around trying not to die, and in the process multiplying by turning everyone into titans. Yeah, so a physical... No, okay, now I like it a bit more, Andres, to answer your question with what Critty said. Becoming a physical manifestation of that drive. But what I love about it is that it integrates with Zeke in that way, that multiplication thing. And what's crazy is that the idealism in the story goes directly against that idea of multiplying for the sake of multiplying. On paper, it would seem that the theme here, or the message here, is anti-life, if you look at things that way. Like, cutting off the ability to procreate. In that way. But the sentiment of it is so hopeful and idealistic. That's really interesting. The fact that the creature, which is basically just a god, becomes a wild animal, still not trying to get killed, is kind of sad. It is sad. It is sad. How would I rank chapters 137, 138, 139? In the manga, 138... I don't know. Maybe in that order? Maybe in that order? Hey, Blue Rhydon. Because it's what those people lived that allowed them to overcome this army of mindless titans. Yeah, exactly. I did check out the opening and ending, Lord Duck Senpai. The Levi thing? Yeah. Because there was also a close-up, right? There was also a close-up, and that's the one I was thinking of. This is very different. This is very different. Like, here, it looks like he's about to cry, almost. Here, he looks kind of angry, you know? Determination? I like the determination, yeah. There's two, it goes from close up to this. I see. The fact that Attack on Titan presents passing on one's dreams and ideals as an alternative way to procreate and escape death inherited well. Because even though the people who carry on don't have their blood, they can still carry your memory and your soul. That has been present throughout all of Attack on Titan. Eren in episode 1 says to Grisha and Carla that being a scout is important for carrying on the deeds and wills and legacies of those who pass on. Or maybe he doesn't say that to Grisha and Carla. Maybe he says it to Mikasa. He says it to someone in episode 1. Erwin is an example of that. Levi an example of that. Hanji says it. From all the deaths. I forget the guy from episode 13. I think of him, though. He was the squad leader. He got chewed on by a Titan when Eren was plugging the wall. Mike, Moblit. There's some regret before the strike. I like this one. Yeah, I like this one a lot. Thank you, Rander. That's why we face the punishment known as fear, and why that child so desperately sought to avoid such pain. Considering how it's Isayama, I'm willing to bet that the hallucigenia being pictured alongside Ymir here plays to that. Damn. This is why I love doing streams like this. Now, I wouldn't have even thought that I would have cared much about the hallucigenia. But this is so thematically beautiful. Mikasa represents that for Eren ever since she said, I won't give up anymore because if I died, I won't be able to remember you. Yeah, that's episode 6. 6? 7, maybe. And I feel like an encapsulation of that happens internally when she goes to finally kill him. Because, like, the idea of Mikasa saying, I won't be able to remember you, etc., I think that's her defiance. That's the core of her defiance against throwing away the scarf, right? Hallucigenia in my top 16? Anyway, 138, I think, was phenomenal in the adaptation. There's that Imai cut as Levi and Mikasa make their way over. Jean and Connie goodbye was so guttingly quick. Guttingly? I don't know if that's a word. It felt so sudden. And I love how quickly they were able to get away. Levi just goes, okay, we gotta go. Ackermans and Titan users are immune. Let's go right now. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Reiner being the shield of the people until the very end with his armor titan, originally used to breach the wall but ended up becoming a symbol of safety for everyone. I love that so much, Rander, yeah. I love that. The reluctant spear to the willing shields. Willing's not the right word, but you know. Yeah, Imai had quite a bit of responsibility. Mikasa struggles that she accepts the task of killing Eren but refuses Eren's plea for her to forget him and throw the scarf away. They did a great job of showing that through Mikasa's expressions in the anime. Mikasa's expressions are great. Someone earlier said that Season 4 has fumbled with the expressions, and I agree up on, like, for most of Part 1...
Peak fiction, Kino.
And the really important expressions, and certain points in Part 2. But I think by and large, for the final chapters, they've been really good. Obviously, we just talked about what I perceive as a minor miss. But yeah. As long as there is someone who remembers you or continues striving for the same ideals that you were, or people who will be alive because of you in some capacity, then you never truly die. In the same way that Mikasa says she's only alive because of Ymir's actions, even if Ymir herself never experienced anything but pain in her life. Yeah, it's that sort of ideological passing of the torch, which Levi, I think, is one of the greatest examples of because of him being that sort of last bastion.
Peak Fiction, Kino. Oh boy.
It sounds very hero look. Thank you, Super Mono Man, for the 300 bits. Sorry, I'm just reading silently. Just for the first little bit. I've been talking a lot, my voice is kind of... the small talk with the comrades in the path so much. I love it so much. Giving back their autonomy so that they could help almost made me cry. That's another thing that people, from what I remember when the chapters came out, just really thought was a big ass pull. But I've always liked it. I've always liked it. The action kept getting more intense. I think I completely agree that Armin had the best voice acting, but all the voice acting was phenomenal. The screams and cries had me in awe. Voice acting was destroying me. On that point, there's a bit where Jean tries to... goes to the nape and throws a thunder spear. And he, like, just belts out this blood-curdling scream. That is one of my favorite bits of voice acting. With what regards to what Super Mono Man's saying. This scream that is so, like, animalistic, like a wounded animal. A great voice break, yeah. Suicidal blockhead, suicidal maniac. I think so, Kumo. I think so. Yeah, Levi's the greatest exemplifier of that. Critty, I think. Zeke, I saw that as Zeke realizing he already had plenty of beautiful moments throughout his life, yet he wasn't able to realize it before. Yes. If only the line, right? If only I'd realized it sooner. I'm just realizing now, talking about it, that Zeke is a lot like Washijo in some ways. Only peak. We need an Attack on Titan OST tier list. Everything in Triple S. Everything Triple S. I've seen some reactors who expect Mikasa to throw away the scarf and seem disappointed when she puts it back on, and I can't help but feel the anime has tainted the perception of Mikasa's relationship with Eren due to the constant Eren and cut content. Maybe. Wit has blood on their hands for that. Maybe. It's hard for me to tell. I can't really comment on that because I did experience the manga. So it's hard to tell. I'm sure there were plenty of manga readers who thought that was her ensuring her slavery. Like, I've seen that take. When, to me, it's the complete opposite. I don't think he's top 5 character for me, but Zeke's resolution and ending, especially with everything that has been shown and built up, previously made him one of my favorite characters. Zeke finally enjoying life right as he needs to be killed is tragic and beautiful. The world's cruel but beautiful, after all. God. Hallucinogenian not dying and turning everyone to pure titans was horrific. Silent Hill. The colossal Eren versus Armin was cooking in the animation department. You really like hell. Yeah! I love that too. Thank you for the 300, Super Mono Man. So yeah, what else? I think we've hit everything in 138. And then this was just perfect. The Ymir cut. And I truly do love, that the last thing Eren sees... For Eren's character arc, we bookend his life. Opening his eyes and seeing Mikasa, and closing his eyes seeing Mikasa. It's just... I'd like to think that right at the end he felt some... even just a semblance of peace. Oh, I'm You finished Gurren Lagann, Lord Black? I'm rewatching it now. Congrats. Congrats. I'm so glad you loved it. So did Eren have his eyes closed the whole rumbling, only open them to see Mikasa? In the manga, it's a bit different between the manga and the anime. In the anime, we see a cut in chapter 1 when Armin's talking about Eren with Annie, where we see that his eyes are open. It's one of the best shots in that. Whereas I think in the manga, it's more so implied. Zeke dying right as he sees beauty in the world, Erwin dying right before he reaches the basement, Shadis dying right as he stops being a bystander. Isayama loves this type of conclusion. True, Drunk Eldian, yeah. That's all over the place. I'm trying to think of other ones. This isn't quite the same, but Bertolt dying right after he finds the courage to properly... the courage and conviction to properly stand up for what he needs to do with his mind clear right before his death. Yeah, me too, Raph. Me too. And Bertolt saving Annie, yeah. Am I interested in the teaser sequel? Or epilogue series? Sequel series? Honestly... Yeah, I can't say I ever thought that was an actual teaser for a sequel. But for the actual idea of a sequel, I don't think we need one. I don't think we need one. I totally agree, Drunk Eldian. Okay, and then 130... Oh, then the cabin... I mean, I don't have much to say about the cabin. Where is it? Oh, man, this shot. The hair parting as she's mid-cut. I didn't even... There's going to be a Levi side chapter? I didn't even know. And then there's this whole idea in here. Again, I don't have a ton to say about this. It's just beautiful. Forget about me. Leave the scarf. But Mikasa defying. Understanding that Eren is not the person she thought he was. That there's much more to him. And nonetheless choosing to love him and remember him and hold him close to her. Not forgetting about him. It's just one of the most beautiful things. Her two biggest choices in life, to fight to survive and killing Eren, almost felt like they came out of nowhere because she simply does all the thinking inside her head. But the people who really know her are aware when she makes a choice, she means business. That's why they all trusted her with her resolve on killing Eren, even though it was out of nowhere from a certain point of view. To be honest, I've never thought of it as out of nowhere in any way. But I guess from the perception of not understanding her internalization, or like not being privy to her internalization. Yeah, I get what you mean. I still feel it's an awkward romance, but I do like how it all ties into the finale. Okay, here's my take on that. I've seen that a lot, and I think it's important. I think it's a really important topic. Eren and Mikasa, to me, is one of the best dynamics in all of Attack on Titan. But it isn't. It's an awkward romance because it's not a romance. It's not. This relationship is not a romance. Because they're never given the chance to actually have a romance. Never. They have feelings. They have feelings. We have internalization that makes it clear what their thoughts about each other are. But they're never able to act on them. They're people who consistently have to repress their feelings and not be able to properly express them in the way they'd like to. And that is not a romance. It's two people who are in love with one another, but that doesn't mean it's a romance. And so I think the fact that it's an awkward romance is true, because how are two people who are not able to ever act on or express their feelings in the way they'd like to, due to the horrific circumstances of the world, how are they able to have a romance? That's what I think is... That's what I disagree with when people say their romance is underbaked, or even that they don't see it, because there are a lot of subtextual things that are really cool that that were in a thread I saw on Twitter from Shash, which is really cool. Lots of subtextual things. I replied to it yesterday. Yeah, it's an amazing dynamic, but it's not a romance. That's okay, Critty. My voice is getting a bit sore, so I probably won't read it out, all of it out loud. As long as that's okay. Right, Drunk Eldian? Eren Mikasa is my favorite dynamic in Attack on Titan as well, but not for any romantic chemistry. Yeah, they don't have chemistry. And in a similar vein... Oh, cool, Critty. In a similar vein, like, the Armin-Annie romance, romance dynamic, I am much less invested in the Annie-Armin dynamic, potential romance, because, like, I just have never been a huge fan of it. I think it's fine. But what I will defend about that is that, again, these are two people who are exploring these romantic feelings for the first time, and who are only now acting on them because now or never, right? A lot of Attack on Titan has to do with not people who would potentially have romantic connections, just never being able to act on them, and so that can give the impression that a lot of it's underbaked. But I think Isayama does a great job in showing the hints of that. And Armin and Annie is the most shallow, quote unquote, but that's because it's essentially like, remember your first crush? You were just kind of attracted to one another, and for obviously very different reasons and context from Annie and Armin. And then you might have just confessed your feelings. And it was very awkward and messy and weird and not a ton of substance to it. But that's what I view as the end of Armin and Annie. The end point of Armin and Annie's relationship. Romance is only romance if acted upon? No. I mean, a character dynamic, like, they have romantic feelings for one another, but because they aren't able to act in a romantic way properly due to the nature of the plot and setting and everything, I don't think it should be... I don't classify it as a traditional romance, and I don't think it should be looked at as such. And yeah, there's more to Armin and Annie than how it's not just random attraction. Like I said, there are caveats to that. There's Armin's belief in her being a good person, her sort of complex with that idea, etc. Falco and Gabby's is beautiful. So Critty talking about how Eren's feelings about seeing the world and his memories of the Attack Titan being very visceral and sensory. Oh, and the idea of future memories being that he's not able to experience something again. Until the last moment where he opens his eyes and sees Mikasa as she kills him in their final kiss. That was his last and possibly only true experience as himself since that day at the crowning ceremony. and we know that the right to have his own experience is what freedom to Eren is. I buy that. I buy into that for sure. Damn, how integrative that is. That's an interesting comparison, Miss Ahmed. The Eren Mikasa fan arts on Twitter since the final episode have been going crazy. I've seen a bunch of them. They're beautiful. Yuppie, I will post an announcement when we get to Naruto. I'll post an announcement in the Discord and on Twitter. But we're close to the end. So, I think we can go to 139. We talked about the lines already. Was Eren ever truly free? No, I don't think he was. Yeah, not all of it, Red L. Yeah, you missed most of it. Have I talked about the special ED? No. I don't have much to say about it, Drunk Eldian. I think it's... I wasn't planning on going frame for frame, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's beautiful. Who in the story was the most free? That's a great question. Let me just double check before answering. Okay, in a thematic way, I guess Armin, probably. But overall, Ymir. Ymir Freckles, yeah. Mikasa, oh, Mikasa's a good call. Only Ymir knows. Yeah, no, I have as well, Critty. I haven't read a ton of them, but I think she's a good shout. Levi, paradoxically. Those are good calls. The two Emirs are at the opposite ends of a freedom hierarchy. I wouldn't put it that way necessarily. Because Ymir is freed by the end, and Ymir... Origin Ymir is freed by the end. And Ymir Freckles spends a great deal of her life not free. But overall, I can kind of jive with that. Falco's a cool shout. Falco's a cool shout. Yeah, I like all these Mikasa, Armin, Ymir, Falco. Oh yeah. Oh shit. I love that, Gritty. I never thought of connecting that to Zeke's line. Historia the most free? I wouldn't say so. $139. We talked about a lot of the lines, though the one I really want to draw attention to, and let me just say, the voice acting, everything absolutely beautiful. Is the balance of this scene being shifted a bit more in Armin? A bit more to Armin than before. These Stitch ones, isn't this gorgeous? Unreal. Armin telling Eren, facing culpability for his part in it, which is new. Saying essentially what he says is that I understand you. I understand your desire to wipe everything clean. Now, Armin does not actually feel the same way Eren does. That is very key to distinguish. He doesn't. But he can understand him, and to an extent he can relate to that sort of retaliatory desire. And in saying that he understands him wholeheartedly, and in saying we'll be together forever in hell, the addition of that is so genius. The sharing culpability was always the intent of the scene. I got it so much more in the anime. And that never came across to me, or not never came across to me, not nearly to the same extent. He understands it but doesn't endorse it, yes. And being complicit connects back with what he said to Annie. When Annie calls him a good person, he's like, I really wish you wouldn't call me that, because I'm not. I've done horrific things that can't be taken back. I'm complicit. Eren finally looking back at the conch shell and getting some semblance of what the rest experienced the day they first reached the sea instead of just going away from the friends past the horizon was really well done. I agree. And I love for Eren that he was able to feel this kinship. Because how alone he must have felt since the moment he kissed Historia's hand. And it just exacerbated and got worse and worse and worse. Until the end, where he just... everything about his mind was messed up. Past and present and future were all the same. He looked at it simultaneously at once. He couldn't stop anything. He didn't understand him. Like, he had clarity about himself, but at the same time, paradoxically, didn't understand. So many conflicting things, and so much desolation and loneliness. And who better... there's no one better in the series to tell him that, like, you're not alone. And after this, we'll be happy together. To me, just like in the manga, Armin finds a way to appease Eren in this stressful moment. I think the manga is more effective and in line with how Armin would do it, but the anime took a more emotional direction that I appreciate too. I don't have a favorite adaptation of it. Yeah, because the manga was... there's that mass murderer line, right? Thank you for being a mass murderer for our sake. I'm not... I know people don't like the line. I think it's the most Armin thing. He's not endorsing mass murder. He's not endorsing genocide. He is understanding the intent of what Eren did, putting in the most base terms possible, and saying that... I get you. I get you, and thank you for trying to do that for us. He doesn't need to nail... literally, right before they perceive Eren about to die, he doesn't need to nail in, well, genocide's not morally correct, Eren. I don't agree with you. That's clear already. That's clear. Eren knows it, Armin knows it. It doesn't need to be said. So I love that comfort. But then the anime takes it in a more explicit direction and takes it that step further to, we will be in hell together. And it leaves... when Eren says, sometimes, in his conversation with Falco, sometimes there's a hell beyond the hell. But there are those who can see something past hell. There are those who can see past the hell. Sometimes it's another hell, but sometimes it's not. I think that he perceived at this point for there to be a hell beyond the hell, until Armin says this. And then maybe there's some solace there. Maybe there's something to look forward to a little bit. Some reprieve. I don't know, it's felt so... it's so beautiful to me. The imagery. Did Eren have no agency or accountability? It feels like he was relegated to a plot device for Ymir. I failed to see the tragedy of his character when I can't tell when the character was responsible for his actions and when he wasn't. He was always responsible for his actions. Always. It's compatibilism. Because of the fact that time is set in stone, it's a hard concept to grasp. And some just straight up don't agree with it. So, because it's very out there, it's very abstract. Eren said he wanted to do all this, which is very important for showing his motives. And his realization of that sort of clears air and makes it clear that there is agency in the decision to do what he did because he always would have wanted to do it. But in terms of the actual acts, he sees everything at the same time, right? By his eyes, it has already happened, and so that is a big wrinkle in the way he thinks about things. And the way that time works in Attack on Titan is that, it can't be changed. It is immutable. But that doesn't remove agency from it, because he feels like, I'm all mixed up in my head, I don't have a choice, whatever. But he strikes these epiphanies where he's able to understand that he liked this, that he wanted this, that he wasn't doing it just for his friends, and that there was this desire to see everything wiped clean. So I think those lines, aside from just me believing in compatibilism in general, really nail home that it was his intent. It's not taking agency away from it. He's owning up to it. Eren trying to claim Attack on Titan's timeline is deterministic was part of his LARP or cope. I think that was... because a big part of his cope is that he's free. I hate everything that isn't free. And he didn't think of himself as free, he hated himself. I think it's a different subset of his cope, so I'd agree. Sorry, I wasn't looking at chat. I don't know if this will be on YouTube, but it'll stay on Twitch for 60 days. It'll go on Patreon if I can't put it on YouTube. I'm sure I can. I'll probably put it on YouTube. My sense of the idea is in tandem with 131. The future won't change because he won't let it change. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because he wouldn't want to change it. He wouldn't want to. He hates himself for feeling the way he does, or he looks at it as completely insane and disgusting. But he doesn't hide away from the fact that he wanted to do it. He couldn't have had it any other way. Armin being an audience, Isayama insert in a way. Armin basically tells Eren that he created him as he now is that day when he showed him the picture book. That's a cool way to put it, Critty. That's really interesting. Anyway, sorry, I'm so far behind. I don't mind it at all, Safa. People tend to think of fate and determinism in Attack on Titan as some invisible, unknown force making things that otherwise would not happen for the sake of a certain outcome, but it's actually not the case because Eren's will and actions in that force that stretches across time. It didn't take agency away. Yeah, it is compatibilism in a way. It's a very characterization-based compatibilism, dictated entirely by Eren's will, because he is the founder. He goes past and future and back and forth, and everything is happening at the same time, but it happens because he willed it. If Eren was a different person, then things would not happen this way. But he cannot change who he is at a fundamental level because that's just who he is. He is him, pun not intended, and he always has been. He's always been monstrous. He's always taken freedom from those who try to take freedom from him. And just because he's been unable to change who he is and shake that, due to the cruel nature of the setting and war and the cycle in general, nothing could change. It's actually not only does it not take agency away due to Eren, it is entirely due to his actions and who he is. I haven't seen Dune, or read Dune. He still had hopes, though, especially when he asked Mikasa what he meant to her. Oh, yeah, I think it's very human. Like Struggler says is absolutely correct. 138 shows that what would happen if she answered something else. He gave some chances until he completely subscribed to it and let his will be fulfilled despite the sacrifices and some of his morals being bypassed. So, I actually think, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, I have no idea. I actually think if Mikasa had answered and said she loves him, I don't think that would have changed anything. I've always thought that. I think that in the long run, in spite of it, in spite of how much he was fumbling around for some way out, I don't, because the series has nailed in that he is never able to shake this desire to wipe everything clean. So to clear a couple things up, I agree with what Hamdash says. Him saying that it's set in stone is kind of a very human way to escape culpability, I feel like, in some ways. Before he ultimately says, no, I own up to my actions. And it's very human at the same time for him to constantly look for answers, even though he's more or less resigned to himself. Like Sasha's death, like Mikasa and the confession or anti-confession scene. Despite him thinking that, humans, people in general, are going to struggle until the very end, looking for answers. Very key to the themes of the whole series. So, of course he struggles. Of course he tries to look for ways out. But I don't think he would have been able to change that. I'm getting a phone call. One sec. Anyway, trying to sell me some internet packages. But Mikasa not telling her true feelings in that moment is also an example of Mikasa because of who she is could not have acted otherwise. The only time that Mikasa found the courage to express her feelings to Eren was the end of Season 2, when she thought they were about to die. That's interesting. This OST is Resurrection from Celeste. And she kisses him at the end because she knows one of them's gonna die. Interesting. I told them it's compatibilistic, Andres. I also believe Eren would have done the rumbling if the world in Attack on Titan had been more peaceful. That's an interesting idea I've thought about a lot. I don't know the answer myself. I guess it depends on the specifics of the world. Because Isayama through AUs has been clear to show that Eren is kind of messed up even in just a regular, everyday high school life. I think that he would really run away with her in this case. When we see him try to avoid saving Ramsey in 130 or 131 is also an example that makes me believe he still tried, but at the end of the day, he saved him. I agree the fact that he acts as a strong drive to wipe out the world, but Mikasa meant enough to him to change his opinion. That's fair. I get why you think that, because and I think that's totally valid, because I think there's a ton of substance to show, and the show questions that. Mikasa herself questions, could it have changed? But I just don't, I've never really agreed with that idea, but I totally get it for sure. AOT is Ava Core until the end somehow for me, even if different. I mean, look at this image, right? I'm partially convinced he likely wouldn't have considered the rumbling if he hadn't kissed Historia's hands and gotten pulled into the paths. That is, I haven't thought about that much, but that is something I'd buy more into, I think. I'm not sure. So you think his self-description of a garden variety idiot is wrong, that he's a special type of freedom searcher? I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think Eren is unique, but at the same time, he is not... But at the same time, only for his generation. I think as long as the world in Attack on Titan continues to be the same, there will be an Eren un-Eren once every few hundred years. Or the capacity to make an Eren, someone with Eren's mentality. Dar talks about this idea as well. The world is deterministic simply because the humans themselves are driven by their desire, motivations, and they can't free themselves from responding to what they feel. That's cool, Lord Duck Senpai. That makes me... I dropped Dark, but that's the most interesting thing I've heard about it. Gabby, I wouldn't say Gabby was an Eren, because Gabby was able to completely change... she was able to completely change her mindset and gain empathy and understanding and perspective, and Eren was able to do that too. But Gabby's actions were very divergent from Eren following her change of heart. So, like, if he wasn't born around so much oppression, would he be born with such an intensely sociopathic trait? I don't know if it was more peaceful because of this. A lot of his root desires are born from the struggle he had to live in the world as a kid and the oppression around him. Yeah, the way I put it, Andres, is that Eren always had the capacity for doing this, no matter where he would be born. That is him, he is him. And I think a couple of specific stimuli would have caused him to do this. Do you agree with people considering Attack on Titan a mecha anime? I've always thought this. Sure. Sure. The OST is not alone from Final Fantasy IX. I can't say that I classify something as mecha by the themes. But just more so vibes. And I guess I can buy into it. Well, I think it's true that Eren's actions would always happen because he's addicted to this very confining definition of freedom. That being said, everyone's actions or choices before and after he was born also contributed to the end result. I definitely think that Eren is messed up because of how Eren is in other AUs, but I think because of the state of the world and circumstances, the end result with 80% dying was always going to be the case. Yeah, I more or less agree with that. I more or less agree. Oh, banger. I think circumstances... I think when Eren... Because there's that conversation with Zeke where he kind of bypasses all nurture in talking about who he is. I just really think the world plays a big role. I think the capacity being within him is very notable because I think that sort of specific potential is unique. But I don't think that it would have been unearthed in the way it did if he lived in a different setting. I think that the world is deterministic in that it couldn't change. Eren having to save Bertolt shows how there's a cycle of events that forces what happened to happen at least until 123, and this is what made Eren unable to reach his dream. He cannot be the freest in a deterministic world, but it still aligned with what he wanted to do, so in a way he freely did it. That's why Armin and Mikasa's answers to his conditions is so powerful. I think we're aligned with this sentiment, Struggler. There's very different ways of wording this sort of thing. It's very complex, but I think I think we more or less agree in sentiment. Ymir combining with the path with hallucigenia only birthed Titans and the paths because of her circumstances there. I've agreed with that. I feel people take the I was disappointed from Eren about finding out people existed outside the walls in too violent a sense. I think it was more reminiscent of what he saw in Armin's book. He wanted to see the outside world pure and untouched by others. He wanted to be the first to see it alongside Armin. I think there's definitely an element of that. Oh, maybe I thought you were making a different point than you were. No, yeah, I more or less agree. Eren understood that his lack of emotional maturity would lead him into this path. It's funny, I interpret it as very base. Part of the beauty of the "I'm an idiot" line to me is, like, he says it about himself throughout the story. He's always fucking up. If he's humanity's savior and redemption and whatever, then damn, they're unlucky to be stuck with me, is what he says. He's always making mistakes. He's always screwing up. And he's just like, I think it's another element to the "I've always been this way" idea. But there's a simplicity and sort of rudimentary aspect to it that I find really charming in a weird way. Your sub didn't come up, show, but yeah, it absolutely can. The way Eren talks about himself is some of the most interesting stuff in the series. It turns my mind in knots. Eren might be the most complex character I've ever experienced. I could think about him for days on end, and I will never come to an answer. I think it's pretty integrative, Andres. I think there's a connection. I don't know, Critty. I can't see it. Fear, all I see is fear of their relationship changing, Critty. That's all I see. It might have got cut off or something. It's above that? I don't see it. Hold on. User critic hold. Mikasa tried to kiss Eren at the end of Season 2 because she thought she was going to die and kisses him.
Peak fiction.
Oh yeah, I talked about that.
Oh boy.
Is it... let me see what you send again, just in case. All it shows me, Critty, is fear of their relationship changing. When you just resent it just now. But if it was the Mikasa... I'll send it on Discord? Okay. There are so many great dynamics, but I really like the more subtle nature of the Jean-Eren dynamic with how much him and Marco cause Jean to change and develop as a character. He's one of the most developed characters in the show, and I love that for him. I agree the scenes of Eren being able to have conversations with his friends before the end he knows is coming. I also think the scenes speak for themselves, so I think I also don't have much to say except that it's beautiful. Amen, Superman Man. Thank you for the 100 bits. Jean absolutely is one of the most developed characters. He has the most prominent progression. Mikasa wishes she answered Eren differently that day in Marlin because things totally could have unfolded a totally different way, like we see in the cabin. Hold on.
Peak fiction, Kino. Oh boy.
And Ymir's the same way in 139 because we see her think back to that day when the Marleyan soldier threw the spear at King Fritz. Ymir wishes she had acted differently because everything could have changed, but because Ymir is shackled by her trauma bond to Fritz, she protected him from the spear with her own body. Mikasa was also trapped by fear of their relationship changing. Okay, let me reread this again. Right. Yes. No, I agree. That I think is one of the huge keys to the dynamic between Ymir and Mikasa. And I think that the fact that
Peak fiction, Kino.
I think the divergence point and why Mikasa was so inspirational for Ymir was essentially the fact that Ymir was unable to change that, whereas Mikasa was. And Mikasa doing that gave her the impetus and the empowerment and the idea that it's possible to bypass that, to move past it.
Peak fiction.
I think that's key to why each of them progress. Sorry, that's key. Mikasa progresses independently, quote unquote, and the way it serves as inspiration for Ymir after Mikasa having experienced what she's experienced because of her, as she described later. I don't know, there's a really cool tandem there. Plot-wise, Ymir ends up being essential for Mikasa. I guess thematics, characterization-wise, Mikasa then using all she's experienced to be able to change that relationship in a way that she was scared about but had to do regardless. I think it's a really interesting and abstract sort of empowerment. If Mikasa didn't kiss Eren, I don't know if Ymir would have considered it a satisfying answer. Yeah, I think you might be right. She does have that smile, right? Ymir being able to see the past, present, future at once makes the result interesting because Ymir can see Mikasa sever that bond and then also go back and peek into her life and see how she got there. Ah, yeah. That's very meta. Why Mikasa? They both experience the exact same sort of thing. Chained to a love that they both had due to seeing the situation for different reasons and dynamic and relationship they had as in a sort of one-sided way, not seeing the whole picture, but nonetheless being, for one reason or another, irrational or otherwise, tied to it and chained by it and quote-unquote enslaved by it. They both had that exact same dynamic. Oh yeah, I think he definitely did it partly for himself, Sea Loud. As a cope for them being separated, like, at least we'll have this. He also did it for himself, yeah. For Mikasa and Ymir, their love was their way of finding some kind of escape in a totally cruel world. It was what gave them meaning. Ymir was incapable of seeing herself as meaningful outside of it, and I think that's part of her journey. Seeing through Mikasa that there is a way past it. So you don't think the fact that Ymir only wanting to lead Mikasa to the Eren killing point scrutinizes her reason for starting the rumbling? The thing is, Ymir's development and progression happens in parts. And I think that's oversimplifying it. I don't think it's the case that Ymir only wants to lead Mikasa to the Eren killing. I don't take that as a fact. So I fundamentally disagree with that idea, Zekin. I don't think Ymir wanted to lead Mikasa to the Eren killing, because if that was the case, she would be forcing it. Mikasa wouldn't have been able to do it of her own free will, which is the core of the reason that Mikasa empowers her in the first place. The fact that Mikasa was able to do it gave her hope, because she arrived at that independently. Her forcing Mikasa along that path wouldn't quite make sense thematically. Because Mikasa kissing Eren there represents her finally finding the courage to express her love. If she didn't open up those feelings she had kept hidden the whole time, then she wouldn't have demonstrated that she overcame her fear and still chose to put an end to Eren. Yes, that is the communication there. It's essentially simplified. It's I still love you, but I'm not chained by it, and I'm not going to let it dictate my actions in a way that is antithetical to who I am. Mikasa's an amazing character, man. I tend to agree, Safwa. Anyway, sorry, we've been talking about this a lot. I just want to talk about the epilogue now. The tree. Someone said that seems to me... The kid coming to the tree seems to me like the cycle's repeating itself. Firstly, the Titan curse has ended. The hallucigenia essentially enacted Ymir's wishes. The Titan curse was due to Ymir's very specific wishes and chains. And it happened... It's much more of a personal, intimate element of the world that than a sort of everlasting thing. It's not like a magic system that will be there no matter what. It's very personal. So that kid finding the tree, and potentially maybe he'll come in contact with the hallucigenia, I think the implication is that whatever, if he stumbles upon it, it will lead to a very different outcome. And the imagery of that kid finding the tree, he looks like Eren, someone who's trying to search for this freedom. But he is being accompanied by a dog rather than chased by it. He finds it through exploration, very reminiscent of the Scouts, right? Rather than fear. The complexion is totally different, and the little touches and looking up to it, being awed at it, with this war-torn scape all around him, it really sort of expresses to me the idea of Attack on Titan being... There will always be war, but at the same time, there will always be people who try to combat that war, seek understanding, and even if it seems futile, use the tiniest bits of hope they can grasp to put an end to it, or to find understanding, or to progress it, or to stomp out the cycle. It is not at all an implication that the Titan curse will start again. Not at all. It would be if maybe it was the exact same person, if it was Ymir all over again, but it's not. Yeah, with regards to what Lord Duck Senpai says, Eren didn't do it all for nothing, because he was able to lead to quite a bit of time, as we see through the end credits, of peace. An easy peace, not perfect, but he eliminated the Titan curse. War came back, but he did buy a lifetime's worth of peace for those he cared about. Hey, wifey. So it's not all for nothing. However, I think it had to show that it didn't fix things. It didn't stop war. Because then it wouldn't criticize Eren's actions and portray him as wrong enough if it solved everything. So it's an interesting middle ground that I think is very appropriate with regards to the way that the story handles Eren, morally. He got to see some of his side. The city shown right before the war started all over again, did it look modern or futuristic? I thought the city before it looked modern. What do you think about the difference in time gaps? Could you be more specific? Do you mean that it feels longer in the anime compared to the manga? Because and thus makes it clearer that he gained a lifetime of peace for his friends? Those he cared about? Oh, I didn't see that, Rondon. I'm not... Yeah, I understand what you mean, Andres, but I'm not sure what you're asking about it. But I'm going to assume it's what I just said. In which case, I think it's important. In which case, I think it's really important that they portray that there was... More clearly, that there was a pretty large amount of time. They did sell it, yeah. You said you wanted to remember what I said for the epilogue, specifically about the takes. The story is just humanity bad, and that way a negative... the genocide was justified. What? I don't remember that at all.
Objection!
All I remember is you saying, or maybe not you, maybe it was someone else, saying that saying that it seems to imply that war comes back, that there is no hope. Well-timed note of, yeah. Someone said that, and that's what I want to come back to. Because, no, don't be sorry at all, guest. I really appreciate it. Because I think it's important to note that that ending is very much Attack on Titan. Hope, the littlest bit of hope grasping onto the tiniest glimmer of light, and that's enough. Let's be real, a happy ending after what Eren did? Such a cop-out ending. Bro. War coming back and tearing the land apart is not really my idea of a happy ending, personally. So I'm not sure what you were referring to, Dragon Chronicler. But in no way, at no point during the entire series, does it ever portray genocide as justified. Do you think Eren is upset that his friends went against him because he wanted a full rumbling? No. I think he expected them to and kind of hoped them, in some ways, hope for them to. Yeah, Roman, man, in seriousness, I don't view the ending as at all happy. I think it's the perfect tone. My take is that them making it so long kind of weakens the point of inevitability that the manga has, makes it less bold. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think it changes. I don't think it changes anything as much as it just nails home the idea. The only thing I want to bring up is how the time period in the manga is approximately 100 years, which ends up paralleling the beginning of the story, where it's 100 years of peace, since the walls were built in the end of the Great Titan War, another Eren and Karl Fritz parallel. 100 years tends to be the usual amount of time, right? Or a repeated amount of time. 100 years of peace. And yet, the story in a lot of ways criticizes Karl Fritz, or the characters do at least. Yeah. Thanks for the follows. Thank you, guest, for the 500 bits. Did you get Nier vibes with the Mikasa ending scene and the ensuing end credits? Also, did you like the anime original editions with Yelena, Levi handing out candy to the refugees, and Gabby and Falco planting the trees? I liked all of that a lot. I can't say I got Nier vibes with Mikasa, but I see what you mean. I love that Yelena has this little tear as she is carrying a box of baseballs and mitts. I really like that touch. And the rest of it I love. Gabby and Falco planting the tree was so beautiful. Do I have it here? There it is. Yeah, you're right, Zealot. I'm not. Are you asking in terms of writing, Lorenzo? Thank you, Supermoon Man, for the 300 bits. I'm gonna have to read this internally just because my voice is hurting, or my throat's hurting. What would I choose? Would I choose to sacrifice my family for the world or sacrifice the world for my family? I wouldn't choose. I can't possibly make a choice if you give it to me like that with just no specifics. Oh, and the music that plays. The music that plays when all the... I'm seeing this because Supermoon Man said it.
Fiction.
The music that plays when all the characters see their loved ones. Levi sees all of his old comrades and friends and loved ones dedicating his heart. The music playing... into the music that... The last two songs were tearjerkers. I bawled at both of them. The Levi one I saw just late last night again, and I just started crying. It's unbelievable. I felt the exact same way as you, Super Ramona Man. And yeah, I love these sorts of conversations we can have. I agree. I agree.
Oh boy.
Thank you for the 500 bits total. Exactly. That's key to the elements of Attack on Titan and what Isayama's trying to say. It's very satisfying but very emotional, leaves a hole in your heart, all that sort of thing. Even though human nature might not change, searching, believing, and understanding in peace is something you should always be looking for, and people like that will always exist. And that's very empowering, in a strange sort of way. I like the idea that in the end, the end in part is saying that people exploring and looking for freedom will always exist. I've seen a lot of people comparing it to Code Geass. Either way, I'm so glad you enjoyed Super Mona Man. I totally agree. And thank you for gifting out a sub as well. Thank you for so many bits. Thank you so much. My pleasure, Lord Duck Senpai. Carl put an end to the Eldian Empire, which Willie said had killed 3 times the world's population and stolen enough over in history, and Eren put an end to Titan's existence as a whole, but 100 years later, technology had caught up enough to have the same kind of destructive potential that the Titans once did. See, and that is the example of this sort of abstract cyclicism? Cyclicism? Whatever. This cycle is abstract. Conflict is the staple, but whether it be shown through industrial revolution, technological advancement, Titans, warfare, whatever, that's the cycle. The one commonality is the cyclicality. The one commonality is that there will always be this conflict, and there will always be humans trying to stop it and working against it and hoping. The specifics change, but there's always that's always there. Thank you so much, Dr. Krakow for gifting out a sub, and C-Lab for gifting out a sub. Thank you so much. Cyclicality. There we go. Hey, Glyra. I think that's where we'll end off, though. It was 2.5 hours. This is longer than I anticipated it would be, but I think it very, very much merited it. One of the best stories of all time. One of the best adaptations of all time. Isayama in the recent interview said this: I guess there could have been an ending where it was a happy ending and the war ended and everything was fine and dandy. I guess that could have been possible. At the same time, the end of fighting and the end of contention itself kind of seems hokey. It kind of seems like it's not even believable. It's just not plausible in the world we're living in right now. And so sadly, I had to give him that kind of happy ending. Yeah, that's why, like, I was joking about it earlier, but that's why I look at what happened, and there is so much hope from this as a result of this broken boy. He inspired so much hope, but he also inspired so much more fear than he inspired hope. And that proportion is pretty much, pretty much directly proportional to the hope versus despair ratio throughout the entire story. You know? It's not a happy ending. Yet it's not a nihilistic ending. It gives you just enough hope. Just enough hope. While feeling realistic and not shying away from difficult truths. Did Attack on Titan go up in my rankings? I guess you'll have to wait and see for my ranking streams. Did Eren become the bird or not? The definitive answer, Eren is 100% the bird. Confirmed. Objective. That's a joke, for anyone who doesn't know. Do you mind elaborating on the tree in the epilogue? I get your point about the dog and scout callback, but how does the tree itself symbolize hope and not the Titan Curse? I already explained that, Kayokyo. Because the Titan Curse is specific to Ymir. And Ymir was not the one who found the tree. It was a boy who, due to visual parallels and a bunch of other elements, had an entirely different complexion to Ymir. Attack on Titan or Code Geass ending? Attack on Titan pretty easily, because I just think Attack on Titan's a way better story. Top 5 character conclusions in Attack on Titan? Eren, Erwin, Zeke, Mikasa, Levi. I will one day put you onto the Code Geass agenda. Critty, it's not getting higher than 7 out of 10. I have tried so hard. I don't think I've tried harder with any series than Code Geass. JoJo's and Cowboy Bebop are the two others. I think that the implication is that it isn't, that didn't happen, Hamdaj. No, Kenny, not top 5. How has it been seeing the overwhelmingly positive response for the ending now? It's been cool. It's been cool. I'm just glad there's not mass misrepresentation. The one thing that I really can't stand, like, obviously, if people hate the ending, all's fair in love and war, right? But, I can't stand when people actively disengage with a story, misunderstand it due to not taking into account very key elements, and then misrepresent someone's politics. Like, I've seen a bunch of people say, just a couple lately, say that Isayama is saying that Eren winning means stopping war, and this is something that should be celebrated, and this is that Eren stopped it all, and we're celebrating that it's possible to stop war through his methods. And that's just not what the story is saying at all. And so I've seen people just comment on Isayama's politics by that, and that's why
Fiction,
like, especially with very controversial ideas, I never, ever try to make all-encompassing statements about what a series is saying unless I'm so super confident. Otherwise, I go like, I think this is the message, but it can do so much harm. Imagine being a writer and you have this very nuanced and empowering point to make, and someone completely misrepresents it. Like, that must be soul-crushing. And of course, maybe you communicate the message badly, but I don't know, that's just why commenting on a story's messages is something I don't think you should do in conclusive terms unless you're very, very sure. Anyways, that was a tangent. Then that person who misinterpreted claims they can write the story better. Did they do that? I just saw a couple of... I don't remember who even said it, but I saw a bit of it on Twitter. But they can write it better? Oh boy. It's very refreshing, I agree, Safwa. Mulder was an interesting character to me, not wanting to repeat mistakes, but seeing the Pure Titans bring back his fears. So many great parallels and callbacks, but Armin trying to calm Muller down, like the season 1 moment, stands out to me the most. I didn't mention that parallel. That was awesome. That was so cool. I didn't mention him, but he's a cool little minor character. Thank you, Superman, for the additional bits. Sorry, I'm just getting ready my Naruto. Mulder is a good shout. He's a good character. AJ, there was a whole project of creating their own manga. Oh yeah, I know that. There's a YouTube video where a person breaks down why the ending sucks and says how simple it is to fix it. I guarantee that the fixed ending is so much worse than what we got. It cannot be good. I love it. 2.5 years can do so much, Drunk Eldian. It's funny, when the stream started, I was actually hoping we would finish AOT discussion early and read more Naruto, but then I ended up writing so much. Yeah, but hey, it's the end of one of the greatest stories of all time. It deserves it. Do we now know the name of the arc we're in now? I don't. Okay, guys. Thank you for the follow, Joshua. And thank you for the 100 bits, Super Mona Man. Eren, Mikasa, and Armin and Jean can all be kissing in hell, alright? Alright, absolutely. That's what happened. Thank you so much for the 100 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for joining me for this discussion. Thank you for taking part. No problem, Safa, Lord Duck Senpai. Attack on Titan and Naruto have tons of parallels, White. It's very strange, Adele, yeah. Attack on Titan and Naruto, let me just say this. Before I go for a bathroom break and tweet out that we're starting Naruto, Attack on Titan and Naruto are the two series that have the most, by far the most misrepresentation and unfair criticism I've seen in my life. Attack on Titan and Naruto, those are the two. I've been told Bleach will enter that company soon. I don't know, we'll see. So thank you guys so much. I'm glad you enjoyed the stream, the discussion. We're going to start Naruto now, but I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. And while I do, I'll show you, or maybe I'll come back, I'll show you the new character rankings, and then we'll read a bit of Naruto. Obviously, we're more than 2.5 hours in, so it won't be a ton, but we'll read a bit of Naruto. Yeah, thank you guys so much. We are now in the Naruto part of the stream, so we'll be right back. Oh shit, I forgot to ban Omar. Hold on, let me just do that.